Right, good afternoon. So, excuse me, as David said, my name is Sophie Throup. I'm Managing Director of Raft Solutions, and here to tell you a little bit more about what we do. So, I'm just going to cover for you this afternoon just a little bit about, well, what is Raft, what on earth would that stand for, the background and context to our organisation, the 4 themes that we've got and how we sort of work on those, looking a little bit about how we've developed, and quite a lot of that is to do with our working relationship that we've had with David and the TSB, the partnerships that we formed, and also our future plans as well. So, what is Raft? I hear you cry. Well, we're not a boat building business. We're not going to go sort of whitewater rafting around the Trent or anything else like that. Raft is a handy little acronym. So it stands for Research, as you can all see it there, Research, Advanced Breeding, Food Futures and Training. So we were a company established in 2010, but we're not a consultancy service. Basically, we are vets in practice. So it started off by a genius of an idea in Bishopton Veterinary Group. A couple of the vets there, Jonathan Statham, who's a cattle vet, and Nigel Wolverton, who's a pig vet in particular, were very, very keen at thinking about a vet's role in wider food sustainability, which we'll come on to in a moment or two, and just felt that there should be a way of channeling that sort of energy into something broader. And so this is partly why Raft Solutions was formed. Since January 2014, we've expanded our interests, and we also now cover a team at Synergy Farm Health down in the southwest. So just a little bit about Bishopton Veterinary Group and Synergy Farm Health. Both are very active, very progressive, farm-based veterinary businesses. So between us, for example, we look after at around 12 to 15% of the UK pig population, just from the Bishopton veterinary practice alone, and we have a very significant interest in dairy, cattle, beef and sheep. So, quite a lot of sort of very close to market farmer contacts that we have, and obviously as our role with vets. But also in line with the sort of changing nature of the veterinary business, we employ paraprofessionals, so foot trimmers, database managers, marketeers. The world of the vet practice, as I'm sure many of you already know, is far cry from James Herriot's world, although we're based very near there. It's much more about sort of getting in at the beginning of that routine visits and that veterinary advice at an early stage onto farm. Both practices as well are members of XL Vets, and just to sort of describe a little bit about who they are. So XL Vets are basically a company of 52 independently owned farm veterinary practices who literally range from the Orkneys to Penzance. They're all independently owned, but they all come together to share knowledge and ideas and projects. So, for example, we recently have been involved with a Schmallenberg survey, trying to sort of find out prevalence. We've been working with various different companies. And we also run something which, again, is an idea that started at Bishopton called Farm Skills. Farm Skills is an industry-leading now farmer training business which takes veterinary knowledge and sort of emerging technology and emerging knowledge out to farmers in practical training sessions and workshops. And we now, through XL Vets, have over 250 Lantra Awards qualified and train-the-trainer vets who go out and help explain various different skills and techniques to farmers. So the happy Raft Solutions team includes many people, but these sort of like are the core members of the board. So Jonathan, I've mentioned before, is the chairman of Raft Solutions, and I'm the MD. That's me in younger days, before I started doing all these grant applications. I feel I feel that had an effect on my picture there, but there we go. We also, just to sort of have that context, I'm not a vet, so my background is in marketing and project management and the business side. And Alan King, who's recently just joined the board since our merger with Synergy Farm Health, is a business manager and used to work very much in the feed industry for BOC and Paul. So we bring together different skills to hopefully complement those of the scientific sort of inquiring minds that the vets have as well. So a bit of background and context, why, when we're there being busy vets in practice, why are we bothered about trying to do something different? And why not just carry on with what we've always been doing? Well, it's something that I'm sure that you're all aware about because of the changing world in which we live in. But we're very much in this sort of trying to think about food sustainability. How do we grow our food more effectively, and how do we as vets have that conversation with our farmers to advise them effectively about how they can, what food they put into their animals and how they produce them to be able to sort of grow that food sustainably. So food sustainability and that food security, whether it's here or expanding our networks abroad, is very important. We also obviously are very mindful of animal health and welfare, whether it's the 5 freedoms or other sort of like a life worth living, and publicity and of reports and publications that have been out in recent years. The vets is very much at that sort of centre of those conversations on farm. And we're all very concerned about environmental management. We do need to produce more food, but in a sustainable way that won't have an effect on the environment or will minimise its effect on the environment. And we very much see the vet's role as being sort of the core of this and the herd health management. How we as vets can sort of talk about this with our farmers is incredibly important. So this is one of the areas of interest for us. So on the back of this, as we've discussed, Raft was born. So research very much stands for, we're the dirty end of research. We realise that we're not the high end of academic lab-based science. We are very much that sort of literally muddy boots, muddy fields research, and sort of happy to occupy that role and feel hopefully that we can lend a lot to other collaborations by doing so. We're about advanced breeding. Quite a lot of our business is about advanced breeding on the cattle and on the pig sector as well, and just really sort of taking science out onto the farm. Food Futures is all about our food sustainability and training. There's no good having all these marvellous ideas without being able to sort of put them into effect onto farm, and recently new collaborations working with vets and farm advisors as well. So Raft, what did we set out to achieve? Well, yeah, we wanted a bit of an interesting future for livestock vets, really. There was a real appetite to be able to grow our business in a different way. And this means to be the hub of the sustainability conversation, not to be sort of a slightly forgotten end user, but to be really part of that conversation and to be able to be a helpful advice to the farmer and to the wider food production industry. And to have these links across industry to get known and to form some mutually beneficial working relationships. So this is sort of like a rather complicated, very colourful picture. Sort of gives a slight illustration about Raft Solutions. So we very much see ourselves as being a little bit of a conduit, really, because of our place as vets and working on the British Cattle Veterinary Association and Pig Veterinary Society, lots of different things. We've got lots of different networks, and so these people that I've sort of put up around the board are either companies and organisations that we have current projects with or that we've worked with in the past. And as you can see, they range very much from farmers and consultants to sort of like some of the wider people like Ferrer and Dairyco and VPEX that we've sort of seen around us today. But we have this lots of sort of interesting ideas about, yes, we really want to be in there. We want to be in about food sustainability. We want to sort of have that influence on the farmer. And we had lots and lots of ideas. The vets were always coming up to us saying, wouldn't it be great if we could just do this on farm? Or the farmer would say, oh, I've been thinking about X, Y, and Z, and it'd be great to be able to think of a way to be able to progress this. So we had lots of ideas, but we didn't really know how to develop these, who we needed to speak to, or indeed how we could support and grow the Raft business to be able to drive on all these innovative ideas. And to be quite honest, this is where the TSB comes in. I sort of sometimes feel we stood on the edge of a swimming pool, we looked down and there was all of this stuff that we sort of knew we were able to access, but it was very, very daunting. It was standing there without even any armbands on, not knowing how to swim. So I do feel, and David, is just there. It's been a bit like our swimming coach, really. And he's been telling us how to put our armbands on and blow up that rubber ring and to be able to sort of dive in the water. So we started off by taking quite small steps, really. So to begin with, we went to a Biosciences Catering Networking event in Edinburgh in 2011. So this was about 6 months after we first formed. And we did one of those little delegate pitches, like some people have done earlier on today. And as a part of that, we were approached by Modern Scientific, who said, oh, that's quite interesting. Vets who are interested in research, and we also did a bit of training to make sure the vets got up to sort of some awareness of what GCP might look like. We were like, oh, that's quite a novel idea. Why don't you come have a chat with us? So we did, and from that we just started off dipping our toe in that scary swimming pool by doing a bit of a £5,000 Innovate voucher. So it was a new opportunity to work with the academics, and we did a little fluke project with them. So that was a good sort of first step. We then, as sort of like time went on, we started talking to people, and we also did some other in between the sort of these times bits of levy board funded projects. Started to again sort of think about these ideas and remembered David and his help that he'd given us. Say, well, how can we progress in with these other ideas as well? So we had a particular idea, so I'm sure it's something that occupies lots of you all the time, but about measuring parameters of semen quality, something that's really important to us. So I know, appreciate it might not be everybody's idea of interest on a Friday afternoon, but we're very much keen to recognise, all the factors affecting fertility on farm, and recognising that, quite often, ladies, the male might have something to do with it, who knows? So to be able to apply for something to look at this has been fantastic. So we applied then for a smart proof of concept funding to sort of test out this particular idea, and this project was granted funding last year. Having sort of got this far and got involved, we are getting quite excited. So we had a bit of a bid frenzied year in 2013, and we worked with various different partners. So we got something on the Nutrition for Life, we're a partner in a wider bid for that one. But then again through the networking events last summer, we were very interested in some of these agri-engineering bits. And again, you might sort of say, well, you're vets, you're not engineers, why would you be interested in agri-engineering? But it's just, again, thinking about the way that farmers come to us and vets come to us with all these, wouldn't it be great if we could only X, Y and Z? And so at the agri-engineering event, it was actually, we met a couple of really interesting partners who helped form a collaborative network with us and helped us sort of to look really widely at the industry, because one of the key things we've recognised by being Raft is that yes, we know what we are, we're vets and we're farmers and we're sort of project managers, but we also know what we're not. And so I think that's been quite important. So we've said, right, okay, so who do we need in our little team to really help us grow and get these applications? And these events have been very helpful for that, as well as our wider industry network. So we got 2 bids, never under ambitious, passed in the agri-engineering stages, where we're a lead partner for both, and they were then both passed to the second stage, and we hear about those on the 28th of February. So at the moment, this is great. I'm coming to you, actually not having to say I failed in them, but we may not have passed either, but hello, fingers crossed. And then in between, because all these ideas keep coming to us, and we have the resource with the vets out in the field to be able to sort of just pick the right vets for the right project and use our resources effectively. Raft is an SME, we sort of not a very big company, but we use our resources very widely through our networks and through our partnerships. Put another proof of concept funding application in and had that passed for looking at some sort of precision dairy management, sort of some more ideas as well. So as you can see, we're only sort of starting off, we're very new really with all of this, but we're certainly enjoying being involved in all of this. So now, at Raft, we have over 20 research projects of various scales and at various stages. And there are obviously the TSB ones that we talked about, and some other bits and bobs as well that we have bubbling away. We've learned a lot over the last sort of couple of years about consortium building, about that recognising who we are and who we're not and who we need to help us. And we've also started that sort of thorny question of IP. It's something that vets have often not really thought about at all, and actually been very good at giving it away. They've had lots of very good ideas, but haven't necessarily thought about it in a business way, about how they could protect that and grow it. And we've also been involved with contract management and project management. We had, through my background and people that I work with as well, a bit of experience anyway in contract and project management, but certainly having to put those skills to use now. So all of these things feed into our active business. We've obviously also got the breeding and the training, the food future stuff going on as well, and we've happily seen our business keep growing. So when he asked me to do this presentation, having done so much for us, I could hardly refuse David when he asked me to do this. He was sort of saying, just really sort of think about what do you think helped you get those bids, and what advice could you give to other people. Now, many of you, I feel slightly like I'm preaching to the converted. I think you probably have far more experience than I do, but for some of you, hey, this may be some new reflections. But I suppose what may have helped us get some of these bids is that being close to market and being full of ideas and full of enthusiasm. I don't think anybody who's ever met most of the people in our team has ever noted that we were quiet and don't say very much. We're all pretty active and enthusiastic. We're also recognise we're new, but we are enormously keen to learn. And I think these the networks that we've helped establish, and David's help too, has really sort of showed us what we didn't know and given us the ability to be able to learn and develop and progress. We have had great mentor support. We really have. We wouldn't be where we are now without that. Quite a few hours at the laptop. I personally quite like writing bids. I know it's a bit sad, but there you go. I find it a bit of a challenge. I do quite enjoy it. So I do quite like writing those bids on my laptop. And David David, just before Christmas, sort of sent me some emails and said, Sophie, please do not do any writing over the Christmas period, but these are just for your interest. So there you go. But these networking days have been really helpful. Some of the key things we've learned, I think Tristan sort of stole my thunder really, that bit at the bottom, but we have learned with the bids that we did before Raft, we did some bids for DEFRA and these as well. The clues are sort of in the question really. I suppose that's the bit I enjoy about writing the funding bids. I really like to read that scope and the bids and the guidance, think, okay, so what does that really mean that you're looking for, and how can what we do really address that? And then getting second opinions from other people just to help steer you along has been great. I think it's been really important to know your route to market. I know Tristan sort of talked about that earlier, and have a vision of what the business product will look like at the end. I guess because my background is in marketing, I'm always very sort of mindful about visualising what that product might look like. So whether we've published it in our tenders or whether we've just talked about it ourselves, all of the products and services that we have going on have a little working title, a little product name associated with them. So it helps just really bring that product to life and us realise what we may be working towards at the end. Definitely all about looking for and listening to advice. It's been amazing. We've greatly valued and greatly benefited from the advice from people in the consortiums that we've worked with, some of the people who are in this room today, and through the TSB as well. I've had some invaluable advice and input, and we will never stop learning, and it's really fantastic to be able to have that. And as Tristan said, be timely and don't leave anything to last minute. I don't think, to be honest, I've quite learned that yet. I still seem to have quite a few 2 a.m. finishes, but there we go. We'll get there one day. But I do think I was reflecting about this and about our bid process and about being involved with the TSB, and actually I recognise that quite a lot of things we've learned about putting the bids in have also influenced how we're running our new startup business. Whilst the vet practices have been going for 70 years, Raft has only been going for 4 years, and so some of the things we've thought about is some of the things that we've learned as our business too. So we've recognised in Raft that, we need to have a balanced team with different strengths. I know myself, I absolutely love being at the beginning of projects. I love starting stuff off, I love getting things motivated, I love all of that bit, and I get a bit fed up when it gets to just the general delivery. It's just it's just not necessarily me. So we have some people in our team who love that bit. They love following things down to the last little vial in the test tube. They love that to bits, and that's been really important for us to learn. About building strong relationships. At the end of the day, we spend a lot of time at work, and we very much value making friendships and relationships out of the business partners that we work with. I think that's very important too, really have those strong relationships, and I'm sure with that then hopefully we're all helping each other. We've recognised the need to be flexible. I think sometimes that's really difficult, especially if one of the vets or farmers might be passionate about a particular idea, but it just might not work. And just having that flexibility to listen to somebody else's advice and just slightly adjust and tweak what you're going to do, I think is really important. But however, we have recognised the really importance to sort of keep your eye on the final goal. At the end of the day, we can't sort of self-indulge in lots of what might be really exciting innovation and research that we might think is lovely if there isn't actually a final goal to get towards or a final market point. And we obviously accept that we haven't got everything right first time. We have had bids that haven't got through first time, or that haven't sort of necessarily passed. But we've learned from them, and we've built on them and just kept going really. So, what does the future look like? Well, the world is changing. Climate's heating up. The food sustainability. You all know those arguments already. We're very passionate about sort of making sure that we have that conversation. We're doing meaningful and productive research and development that will help influence what the farmer does in the field and in the shed, and make sure we can produce food sustainably to be able to sort of help the end goal of global sort of planetary success. So in summary, yes, we are this close to market research business. We're sort of very much focused on innovative technology, sustainable food production, and value our industry leading connections and our collaborations and working partnerships. So I don't know whether I've given you any ideas and advice, but we've certainly enjoyed working with all the Technology Strategy Board and helping use this towards building our business and hopefully having some realistic and interesting end products in the future. So I just like to say thank you for the opportunity, and thank you very much.